Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing some Copic coloring using a small stamp and die set that I picked up from Lawn Fawn. Let's take a look at what we'll be using. This is the You're the Zest stamp and die set from Lawn Fawn. This is a brand new set, and you can see it's small and cute and filled with lemons and cute little faces that you can stamp onto the lemons to give the lemons so much life and action. There is an available small die for the lemon, and I picked that up as well. So let's talk about the Copic colors that I'll be using. If you've been following along with me for a while, then you know that I just started my Copic Marker collection. So my collection is small, but I have the right colors to do today's coloring. One thing we need to make sure that we're aware of is that not all inks are created the same. Some inks are alcohol marker friendly and some inks are not. So I did some research and I typed up a page that kind of tells me what inks work best for which type of medium that I'll be working with. So I'm going to be using the Hero Arts Hero Hues Intense Black ink for my alcohol markers. This is a pigment ink, so this ink will take some time to dry, and you'll see an error or mistake that happens later on that'll prove this point to be true. So I've got my Hero Arts ink to the side there. I'm pulling out my stamp set. It's so tiny. It's just like a 2x3 set. It's so cute though. And I'm going to pull my lemon off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my lemon in my Misty stamping tool in a way that will allow me to stamp multiple lemons on my 1 sheet of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock in the 80-pound weight. So you can see there, I have my lemon kind of positioned at the top right corner. And so I'm going to ink up the stamp for the first time, making sure I get a good coverage of ink. I'm going to close my door of my Misty onto my paper. This is an A2 size piece of paper. Rub my microfiber cloth across the door just to kind of give me a good even pressure. And now I can move my paper over to the right about an inch. And then that's going to give me space to stamp another lemon. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I have about 9 lemons stamped on my paper. I'm going to do 6 this way. And then I'm going to turn my paper around like I'm doing here. So here's where I make a mistake. See right there? Let me show you again. Because this is pigment ink, my lemons are not dry. So I mistakenly dragged my magnet across one of my lemons, and it kind of drags that ink along in the lemon. I'm still going to use it, but just to let you know that when you use pigment inks, you do need to either allow them time to dry, or you need to hit them with your heat tool to speed up the process. I chose to hit my heat tool, and then that was able to speed up the drying process. So now we're going to move into the Copic coloring. I've chosen 3 shades of yellow. They are Y08, Y13, and Y15. I'm going to kind of test these markers to kind of see which one is the lightest, medium, and the darkest shades. So I'm going to swatch them out on this piece of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White paper that I have here. And that's important, to use the same type of cardstock that you're going to be coloring on, so that you get a true representation of what your coloring will look like once you go to color on your actual images. So I've done Y08. Now I'm going to swatch out Y13 and kind of figure out what that looks like. You can tell by the lids, but also you really need to swatch them out to kind of get the true color. And now I'm going to do Y15. So I've got all 3 colors swatched out, and I'm bringing in a Copic multi-liner in 0.05. And I'm going to write all the colors on top of the swatches. Then I'm going to write numbers at the bottom to tell me which color is going to be the first color I lay down, second color, and then the third color. Now I'm going to do that same process with my green shade. So I've swatched out YG13. Now I'm doing YG25. And I'm going to do my third color, which is actually a green color, is G05. I'm going to write the names of them above them, and then I'm going to decide to just use the two YG, the yellow-green colors. I decided to take that G05 color altogether. So now that I've swatched out all my colors, now it's time to start coloring in our lemons. So for my lemons, I'm going to color in the entire body of the lemon with Y13. So I'm going to lay down a good even coverage of this color across the entire, like I said, the body of the image. And then I'm going to come in with Y15 and add some shading. So my light source, or my darker shaded side of my lemon, is going to be on the left, which means my light source is coming from the right. So I'm going to color in and add a decent size amount of the Y15, decent shading here of the Y15. And then I'm going to bring out that Y13 again and kind of go back and forth, or go back over the line where the Y15 was added to make sure that I kind of blur that line and kind of make the harsh line go away. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of making sure that that line goes away. So then it really just looks like shading rather than, oh, you added a line of a darker color here. And then I'm going to add in a thin line of the Y08 and go back in with the Y15 to create that blend and get a good blend between the colors. Get those down. And now I'm ready to move on to my yellow-green shades. So again, these leaves are tiny, so there's not a whole lot of space there. So I'm not even really worried about blending in the leaves because they are so tiny. So I'm putting down the YG13 first, and I'm going to follow that up with some small thin lines of YG25, and that's going to take care of the leaves altogether. So that's how I'm going to work through all 9 of these lemons. Again, even the one that I messed up, I messed up with the ink and smudged the ink, the Hero Arts Intense Black ink. I'm going to color that one in because I could hide that behind some other lemons. So there's a closer look at what the Copic coloring looks like thus far. And then, like I said, I'm going to keep on going and coloring in the rest of my lemons. This really was a quick coloring process. It didn't take long at all. So there we have all of our lemons colored in. You can see the shading that was able to be created with using those 3 colors, a light, medium, and dark color. And now I'm going to use my Copic multi-liner in 0.05, and I'm going to add some little dots for texture to the bottom right of the lemons. So now that the coloring is done and they've been amped up a little bit with those dots, I'm going to bring in the dye, the coordinating dye, place a piece of Easy Seed tape on the dye, and I'm going to cut all of these lemons out. For my background, I decided to use the Optical Arches 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. I went ahead and did that off camera and created that because I wanted a little bit of texture in the background of the lemons, but I didn't want it to kind of overwhelm and be a focal point either. So I just used that 3D embossing folder, which is a great way to do, like I said, to add some texture. So I'm kind of playing around with the lemons, trying to figure out how I want to stack them up. And then I've kind of settled on somewhat of an idea of where I want to go. Then I'm bringing in a piece of press and seal tape. Press and seal. I'm going to pick up all of those lemons. I'm going to take one of them off and kind of stamp one of the little lemon faces onto it, because I just thought those faces were too cute to be left out. So I'm lining that up. I'm going to just use an acrylic block for this. No need to bust out the MISTI or stamp positioner for this. This is really easy to do. And then I'm going to bring in some Versafine Onyx black ink for the face. I really like this Onyx black ink. It gives a very clean and crisp impression, especially when you're doing something as small and fine as this little face is. So I'm going to stamp the little face onto the lemon. Bring it up, and there we have a cute little face on our lemon. This adds so much personality to the lemon. So that lemon's going to go on the top of our pile for sure. So now that I've gotten my lemons stacked up, and I'm going to bring in my Barely Arts glue with the fine tip nozzle. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of glue onto some of the lemons, also between some of the lemons. Now, I've decided a little bit later on that I didn't want all the lemons to just be flat on the card. So I think I'm just going to apply some glue adhesive to the bottom layer of the lemons and let that be kind of directly adhered to our background panel. That background panel has been cut down to 4 by 5 1/4 in order to give us a little bit of a white border on our card base when we get to that point. And here I'm deciding, let me go ahead and pick up those top 3 lemons and kind of do something different with them. Because I'm using a liquid adhesive, I do have just the tiniest bit of time to kind of rearrange some things and move them around, and that's always to your advantage if you're not quite happy with the placement of everything. I'm bringing in my favorite foam squares from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to apply those to the lemons and then get ready to pop those up as the second layer of lemons on the card. So I'm figuring out now where I want the lemons to be. And it's okay to change your mind, when you're card making or when you're paper crafting or crafting for any type of crafting for that matter. You have the right to change your mind on how you want things. So I'm going to pull the backers off of these foam squares and get these lemons popped up and adhered to our card base. And now I'm going to set the little lemon with the face on it on top of the whole pile. I'm very happy with how this has come together. I initially didn't want any of the navy blue peeking through, but then I thought it might be a good opportunity to break up some of that yellow by letting a little bit of that navy blue pop through our pile of lemons. And I really like that little the breakup that it provides. So I stamped the sentiment "Squeeze the Day" offline, and I placed a couple of scraps of cardstock behind it to pop it up, and then I adhered it to the card panel using some Barely Arts glue. So now that everything has been secured to our card panel, now it's time to secure the panel to our card base. I've decided to pop it up with some foam tape. That's my preferred method of adhering my card panels to my card bases. And this, by the way, this card base is made with Accent Opaque 120-pound weight cardstock. All of the products that I'm using today will be listed and linked in the description below, as well as on the coordinating blog post. So if you're interested in finding some of them, just be sure to check the description. While all my cards don't have to have sparkle and shine to them, I thought that this card needed a little bit. So I'm bringing in some of my Pink Fresh Studio gems, and I'm adding those randomly around the card, and I'm going to secure those down with some Barely Arts glue. And now that those gems are in place, this card is complete. I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Delta Crafter, and on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. What's your favorite fruit or food to craft with? Let me know in the comments below. I have a couple of strawberry sets that I'm thinking about bringing out again to use, and let me know if you'd like to see that. Thanks again for stopping by, and until next time, enjoy!